And we're live.
Hey, it's 7 o'clock. Time to go blading at the skate park down by the mall.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Oh wait, just kidding. We're 2 hours late for that.
Oh.
We missed it. We fought the alien. We got there, and Brad and Tucker were gone.
Yeah, they ditched us.
Mm-hmm. It's real disappointing.
I know, I was so sad.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks,
Hello, welcome.
Mom.
Welcome to the award show audit. uh, uh, um. Yeah. So this is the hour-long celebration for the year 2006. It was certainly not a banner year for the hour-long submissions, so we decided to spice this week up with the help of a friend who I'll introduce in a second. And we're also first going to be talking about 3 episodes that Cartoon Network submitted to the Emmys, but were not actually nominated. They didn't get enough votes past that first round to matter. Somehow, the Camp Laszlo and what was the other show last week?
Fosters.
Yeah, Oh God, the Camp Laszlo episode "Hello Dolly" and the Foster's episode "Go Goo Go" were both deemed better than these other submissions, and we'll see if we agree with the Emmy voters. Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Yeah. I know I've got some things to say, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, all 3 shows we have not talked about before yet on the award shows, so we definitely got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, let me introduce the guy who we have to thank for this whole idea. We had no way of knowing what Cartoon Network sent in, but we know someone who does. He knows things about schedules and things, and here he is, CDCB. He is the guy who made Nixtory. He is a mod on the Discord server and on our stream chat, and he's here today. Say hi.
Hello, hello.
There he is.
That's him.
What is up?
That's him. He just popped up.
We hey, you're popping up from the crowd
Yeah.
with your couch.
he brought in his couch in front of the stage, but like he didn't put it on the stage. He's sitting in front of the stage down below. He's just
Yeah.
kind of
Well, I
peeking
don't
up
want to
over.
steal your guys' thunder.
uh, we only allow guests on this show if they bring their own couch. It's just kind of an unwritten rule.
It's true.
Yep.
So if you
Your
guys
orange
want
couch
to
is
guest
allowed.
on the stream with us, make sure they bring their couch. We won't let them on otherwise.
All right. Yeah. So, would you like to introduce yourself at all?
Hey, yeah, so I'm CDCB. I mean, Pie Guy pretty much said it all. I love cartoons. I love Nickelodeon. This is not Nickelodeon.
No.
I've been gypped. You guys.
Well, you were gracious enough to share the DVDs which you acquired in some way. In some way, you actually have the booklet with the DVDs that was sent to the Emmy people, so we know, at least back then, before everything went digital, this is how they used to receive submissions. The networks used to send a booklet, or maybe even an individual DVD if the network only sent in one thing, with all of the submissions and like a little blurb, just a little tiny little baby blurb of like, hey, this is what the show is.
Yeah, I mean,
So
pretty
that's
much
interesting.
it pretty much describes the show, gives like a rough summary of it, and yeah.
But it doesn't describe the episode.
Nope, as we found out on the spot last week.
Yep.
I didn't even know what episodes like I had until I put the discs in, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, very weird. So Shadow, would you like to announce what 3 episodes we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I need to remember the name of the Juniper Lee episode. I already forgot that one.
The Halloween one.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we've got 3 different shows, as Pi mentioned, shows we've never talked about before. First up, we have the Halloween episode of Juniper Lee. Yeah, it's
It's the Great Pumpkin, Juniper Lee.
Is that what it is?
Hey, I recognize that booklet.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And yes, I have the images of the booklets that CDCB managed to find for each of the 3 episodes. So that's kind of a little bonus there. Kind of
Yeah.
getting to see some exclusive content.
So why don't we read Shadow, can you read off what the blurb for Juniper Lee is?
Yeah, sure. Although I need to make my screen just a little bigger so I can see it. But okay. Monsters beware. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. Tae Junze is on the job. And that's Juniper Lee. While she appears to be another well-adjusted middle schooler, she spends her free time trying to keep the world's monsters and people miles apart.
Well, rude about monsters, first of all.
Very true. And I'm so sorry for butchering that pronunciation.
It's pronounced Tezonde.
Tezonde. Oh, of course. Chocolate Rain. That's right.
All right, what's the next
Okay,
one?
second up, we have an episode from My Gym Partner's a Monkey with
Monkey.
with the episode Political Animals. It's a politics episode.
Cool. What's the blurb about that show say?
Through a clerical error, young Adam Lyon is accidentally sent to Charles Darwin Middle School, where all the animals in town are enrolled. And from there, things only go hysterically awry when oh, your hand's blocking it. Hang on, Pi, I gotta move you.
Oh, excuse me. Let me real quick move.
Hysterically awry when your school's zoo and your gym partner's a monkey. You just
God, put me back. Okay, I'm back.
You just popped out of existence for a second.
Where'd you go?
Just a blink. Don't worry about it.
Okay, and then last but not least, we have The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy with the episode My Fair Mandy. And the blurb for that one reads, join the misadventures of two very different kids. One a brainiac and the other, well, let's just call him cute.
Wait, a brainiac? Who's the brainiac, Mandy?
I guess.
That's not how you would describe her.
I would not describe her as a brainiac, no.
She's not a dumb character, but I mean, like, that's not the defining characteristic of Mandy, I would say.
Yeah.
But maybe evil little girl is too much for the delicate Emmy voter sensibilities.
After an otherworldly limbo contest, they make fast friends with the Grim Reaper. Gosh, I can't read because this is like white on yellow right now. Make fast friends with the Grim Reaper, and the rest is... God, this is
history.
Bad. No,
the rest is history.
The rest
All right, move
is, in a word, hysterical.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're describing Billy and Mandy as you would describe Pinky and the Brain. Just a little weird.
Yeah, let's just call them cute.
Yeah, that's their dynamic, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the thing about Mandy is that I wouldn't call her a brainiac. I'd just say that the IQ of Ensville, like the general IQ is lower than hers.
Yeah.
But that's not saying much.
No.
All right. So that's, if you're an Emmy voter and you've never seen any of these shows, that's what you got. That's there we go. The gym partner one is redundant because they tell you all of that in the intro. The Billy and Mandy one's relatively irrelevant because the limbo thing I think that's only really mentioned in the pilot and then the episode that calls back to the pilot. The show kind of doesn't really care about that ever again. And then the Juniper Lee one, I mean, if it sounds generic, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I honestly have no comment. I mean, this was like my first time watching these three shows ever, so like I had no context to go. And I basically was an Emmy voter in that the descriptions were all I knew. Basically.
There you go. All right. So the first show, Shadow?
Do you want to put up the poll now while we talk about it, or do you want to wait until we're done?
Not after last week.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
2 weeks ago.
Just figured I'd ask. All right. So we can go ahead and get into the first one, which we're going to be doing Juniper Lee first with the Halloween episode.
Yes. And don't forget, we are still going to talk about the 2-hour-long submissions later. There is a poll up in the description. If you go to the community page, you can vote on whether you would rather My Life as a Teenage Robot win an Emmy or a documentary you've never heard of or seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, it's the Great Pumpkin Juniper Lee. Oh dear. I had never seen Juniper Lee. I only vaguely knew about it. Most of the big people compare it to American Dragon, which is a show I have seen. But basically, in this episode, it's Halloween, and there's just monsters that only Juniper Lee and her family can see. And the monsters are all complaining to Juniper Lee because their kids have turned into humans. And so she has to go to this deal broker, I guess, who looks like a disturbing mix of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, voiced by Tara Strong, I believe.
Yep.
She'd love that. Yeah, in order to undo it, she has to do a series of quests, a chain of trades, if you will, and then it ends with her wrestling some random monster, and that's it.
This was a mess.
This was terrible.
It was such a bad mess of an episode.
Yeah.
I was not a fan. It did not leave a good first impression. I could say that.
Yeah,
Right
so
off
first of all, just the story pacing of this. Apparently, this is a 22-minute show, and you wouldn't know it by this episode. But the pacing, it starts out with just generic Halloween stuff, fine. Then it goes into these monsters complain to Juniper Lee, which, according to the theme song and the blurb, all I understood was that she fought monsters. I didn't know that they just kind of nagged her to solve their problems, too. That seems a little weird, but whatever. She's the peacekeeper between worlds, I assume. Whatever. But then it's just like, it just turns into this series of trades, and it's just a long montage of her going to various places in the underworld, which we don't know, or I assume the underworld? I don't know. It's not established how she gets there or where it is or whatever. I assume it's a fixture of the show, but it's not explained here. And then it just ends with her wrestling some random monster who kicks her butt for like 300 rounds.
And then she
until
just beats it one time, and then she wins.
Her dog is like, yeah, just pull out the spike in its back, and then it'll shrink it. And then she does that, and then she wins once. It's very weird.
Yep.
Yeah, they specifically call it cheating, which I don't know if that is cheating or not, but like, very weird.
Like,
and then that's it. That's it. It just undoes it. She just goes to the lady. The lady's unimpressed with the smoothie that she got in the trades, and then she's just like, "Oh, all right, darling, I'll undo it for you." And then that's the episode. There's no moral. There's no theme. Even the Halloween thing is completely forgotten about after the first few minutes.
I was just about to say, there's no reason for this to be a Halloween episode at all, because it's like, it's the opening setup, and it takes you down one path, and you think, okay, so we're gonna see, this is what monsters do when they dress up as humans for Halloween. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting concept. Let's see where this goes. And then it's just the kids can't turn back, so let's just drop everything and go do some monotonous montage of nothing for, God, it probably went on for like 3 minutes or 4 minutes or something. It was so long and so dragged out. Let me just tell you what, like the whole trade an item for an item for an item, like chain idea was not done very well here. Like, yeah, Ed and Eddie did it. Chowder did it better. There's so many other instances of it being done better. I'd rather play the quest in Wind Waker where you have to do that than sit through this montage again, honestly. And that's not a very good side quest.
And it's ultimately pointless.
Yes.
If you cut that out of the episode, if you say, okay, well, in order to get the smoothie that the demon lady needs, she has to wrestle a monster, right, for whatever reason, come up with whatever stupid reason.
Yep.
You just cut out the rest of the episode, and it matters not. It doesn't matter at all.
Nope.
And yeah, Ro whatever makes a good point. The reason why the kids are cursed to be human is that they turn into humans every year, apparently, but just temporarily on Halloween. But the one demon kid was like, no, I want to be a human. I hate being a monster. And there's like clearly something going on there story-wise, but the story does not want to focus on that.
No.
It's just like, oh, okay.
Doesn't even make it so like you really care that like Juniper has to go through all this or want her to complete her quest. It just kind of is like, oh yeah, this is happening. This is happening.
She doesn't want to do it.
Like,
Yeah, she doesn't care.
and the
like,
parents
the
have
whole
no
theme song.
like. Sorry, go ahead.
The whole theme song is just awesome. Like finding monsters is, and we spend the 22 minutes of this like seeing how she doesn't care.
Yeah, and like the parents too. Like, they're so distraught over their kids being monsters, but they don't even really like. They don't have anything compelling about them. Why does Juniper Lee have this relationship with them? Like they're just having a
something
casual...
chosen one, but they don't establish that in this episode.
They're just having a conversation. Like I don't know, I'm lost on it.
But and I mean, again, we're coming in as nobodies to this. Of course, they're not going to explain, commonly featured things on the show in every episode. But like, this is the episode they nominated.
Yeah, and I feel like we're in the exact position as Emmy voters because they probably don't watch any of these shows. So we have the same perspective as them. We don't know.
Listen, we're the target. We were the target audience for this.
I know,
right?
we were.
And we didn't watch the show. There's no way the Emmy voters did, aside from this episode, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Another thing is just I don't like the art style of the show. The designs of the monsters are really generic looking and boring. I don't know. It just this. I don't know if this represents the show as a whole. I couldn't tell you that. But just as an episode, this was really bad. It's not bad in the sense that it contains bad morals or like, infuriatingly bad. Like the story makes sense, so to speak, but it's such a nothing episode of a cartoon. It's like we talked about with Camp Lazlo, where if you've never seen a cartoon before and you saw this episode, yeah, maybe you'd be impressed by the moving pictures, but it's like it's just a really stock, boring storyline. I don't understand why this devolves into a wrestling episode of all things. And it's not like there's any interesting... There's no story that happens. It's just like she figures out she has to do a bunch of trades. There's a long montage of trades. And then she finds out she has to fight this thing. And there's no... The story is a big montage of her getting beaten until she finds the cheat code or whatever. Until her dog is just like, oh, by the way, here's how you defeat this thing. And then she just kicks its butt. Like, there's no story behind it. There's no development or it's literally just a bunch of montages, the episode. There's
why did he...
Well, I was just going to say, she has a friend at the beginning of this episode who's, like, afraid of monsters or something. I don't know why this friend's even in the episode. What is the point? The friend never comes back after the first, like, minute. Why is she there? To establish what they're like trick-or-treating, I guess. I don't get it. The little brother does nothing. He has a subplot that he eats too much candy, and then he gets a sugar high.
Yeah,
that's the subplot. He's annoying little brother stock character.
And then Juniper Lee goes on that whole fetch quest. She gets to the wrestling ring, and then out of nowhere, the dog and brother are there, and they're like,
oh yeah,
it just happened. They're just like, shrugs. The show didn't care. They're just there. So, yeah. I don't know.
Tunjay says as someone who's seen the first season, this is the worst episode.
Fair
and then
enough.
CN Nick and Disney Fanboy mentions Juniper Lee is available on the Boomerang streaming service. Yes, the streaming service with the Cartoon Network originals, I guess that aren't important enough to come to HBO Max, like Camp Lazlo and Juniper Lee.
I mean, there's only one person clamoring for Camp Lazlo to go to HBO Max. Is there anybody clamoring for Juniper Lee to go? There's got to be someone out there, right? Maybe.
Shadow, would you like to say anything about the voice acting?
There's not a single voice in this show that I didn't recognize from something else. Literally every single voice. Every time I heard a new character speak, I was like, oh, that's Jeff Bennett.
I didn't recognize Juniper Lee. I don't know who she's voiced by.
It's just everyone.
There were like two characters who were like Phil and Lil. The lady who does Phil and Lil,
Sosie,
right?
Yeah. A lot of characters were voiced by her.
Tara Strunk, Maurice
Everybody sounds like
was
her.
in there. Yeah, it was.
I didn't know him. Who was he?
He was... I don't remember the character. I just remember I noticed his voice. I'm going to be honest. But...
Yeah, Robot Ever has a good point that the episode feels conflicted on if monsters are different from humans or not. Because the theme song is like, yeah, let's fight a bunch of brainless monsters, right? She's just kicking people. She's kicking monsters. Not review, just general monsters. And then in the episode, the monsters aren't these cool things that fight her, except for the wrestling one. It's just, hey, solve our problem. Our kids are human. And then the lady's like, oh, I want a smoothie. It's like, what is this? I mean, the world like building leaves a lot to be desired. It's generic. That's really what I can say. And again, I have no idea if the rest of the show is like this, but this particular episode, just utterly generic. The polar opposite of anything I would ever consider award worthy.
Yep.
It's like the protein shake that she wants isn't even like this crazy monster themed protein shake. It's literally just a protein shake. There's no funny twist to that.
Yeah.
It's just
No, the funny twist
what?
is she forgot to not get banana.
And then
that was the twist.
so the thing about it is that the lady, what is she? She's some sort of like broker of magic deals or something. Like I'm not even clear on who this character is, but she's the one that Juniper Lee has to go to, I guess. But yeah, she's not impressed with the smoothie at the end, and it's like, oh, haha, this was all for nothing. So then Juniper is just like, undo the deal or I'll beat you up. And then she's like, okay. And it's just like, you could have done this from the start. Isn't this what you do? You have a theme song explaining what you do in the show, but it's a lie. I don't get it.
Like, I thought a show about someone fighting monsters would be cool. I didn't expect to see monsters fighting her. That was just, and only her. Like, it was just what?
Yeah. This show, it's also not funny. I don't know.
Nope, I didn't laugh.
I don't have any critiques about that. I just say that I didn't laugh or think that it's. Yeah, I can't remember a joke.
There was one part that did make me laugh, and it's right at the end when Juniper Lee finally comes back with her smoothie, or the protein shake, and she just abruptly crashes through the window. It just comes out of nowhere, and I don't know, I just thought that was kind of amusing in an otherwise kind of dull episode.
Hey, Juniper Lee, what you got there? A smoothie. All right, I don't have anything else to say about this.
Okay, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, me neither.
So next up, we've got My Gym Partner's a Monkey with the episode Political Animals. What's interesting about this one is this is a single 11-minute episode, whereas in the case of Camp Laszlo, which was two 11-minute episodes combined, and the other Cartoon Network nominees each being one 22-minute episode, this is a single 11-minute episode, which is really strange.
Yeah, they could have done a half hour,
Mm-hmm.
and as a lot of people noted in the Discord server, the other half of this episode, it's the episode where Jake eats what he thinks is bat guano, but it turns out to be asbestos, which is something that I remember. I remember really well. I don't know why. I watched this show a decent amount as a kid. I couldn't tell you why.
I mean, I did too, but I hardly remember it. That's the thing.
Yeah. So anyway, so this episode... basically, Bull Sharkowski, who's the bully character in the show, runs for president of the school every year and goes unopposed because he just bullies everyone. But Adam's going to do something about it this year. He runs against him, and, the animals warn him. His friends warn him, hey, you're going to need a helmet. Like, this is not a good idea, Adam. And then Adam runs anyway, and he surprisingly beats the bully. And then all of his classmates are gonna beat him up because that's what you do to politicians.
Yeah, they have to establish dominance.
So the weirdest thing about this, I think, watching it in 2021, is this is a political episode, but it's not a political episode that has any level of commentary on anything.
Nope.
Other than, I guess, that politicians get beat up a lot. There's nothing else. Right, like even trying to like forcibly extract some sort of parallels with some election or Democrats and Republicans, like you can't do it. You can. What did you joke that there's an elephant in the background of a scene? So
there's an elephant in one shot, therefore it's pro-Republican. I didn't see a single donkey anywhere, so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There was one line kind of towards the end that I guess you could apply to some political view or whatever. Someone says a win's a win even if it's not really earned, which I don't know how you'd interpret that, but I don't know.
Are you trying to say no, never mind.
No,
never mind.
Now you're going to make it political.
Okay, well, at any rate, yeah. So, I don't know. I thought this was fine. I didn't, love it or anything, but I thought this was a competent episode. A few things made me chuckle here and there. I didn't think it was frustrating or annoying or bad. I thought it held my attention as a story more than more than Camp Laszlo, and the slapstick is better.
Yeah, it was inoffensive. Ironic considering it's a political episode. But yeah, it was inoffensive. I don't have any major like glaring issues. It was just a perfectly fine episode with a pretty cool way of bringing things around at the end with the whole concept of the animals establishing dominance, because that is very much something that happens with a wide variety of species in nature. So I thought that was cool, and it made sense why everyone feared Bull so much and then was able to beat up on Adam.
I liked when everyone was clapping in the audience and the snake just had a smug look on his face.
That was the best part, where it just zoomed out and he's just sitting there like not moving, and everyone else
like he doesn't clap his tail or anything.
No,
he's just sitting there
stationary. He doesn't move. He doesn't even blink. He's just literally like... just still. It's great.
He's like, dude, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't like actually that crazy about this. Funny enough, I mean, but you're right. You're both right. It was harmless. I mean, there really isn't anything too good or too bad to say about this. It's just kind of, average. Not really super amusing, but I mean, it's a decent couple, like 11 minutes of entertainment.
I liked that the bully didn't win. I like that his minions, who he's been like degrading and beating up this whole episode, turn on him, and they're ultimately what makes the rest of the school stand up to the bully. Like I thought that was cool. I feel like a lesser show wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I mean it's a straightforward message, but it's still a positive one. So
yeah,
brownie points.
No, I don't think this deserved to be nominated, to be honest. But just like coming off of the Juniper Lee episode, that one was just a really boring mess to sit through, where this was a relatively standard episode of an 11-minute cartoon from the mid-2000s.
Yep.
I think I've let my opinion be known about which Orange Monkey Cartoon Network not very beloved mid-2000s show I prefer. I can't say I love this show, but there is something about it that I appreciate that I don't know that other people do. And that something is Rick Platypus.
Oh my god. It was
Rick Platypus!
Pie, it was one episode.
I'm not an alien!
One time. It's one episode out of however many the show got. Yes, he's a legend. I can't deny that, but he is not the sole reason why this show. I'm sorry, no. But
it's better than Camp Lazlo. It's more interesting than Camp Lazlo. I mean, look, it's a waste of the premise, 100%. Like there's a cool idea here about he's the only human in a school of animals, and there's a big culture shock. Like, and they do things with it, but they don't really do that much with it. No. They don't do as much as you'd want there to be done. Because other than the kind of the ending where they all beat him up for animal dominance, nothing else about this episode really screams, human kid at an animal school. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's animal jokes here and there, but it is absolutely not taken advantage of. If you want a show that takes advantage of like the tons of different animals with puns and stuff, you look to BoJack. Or really most other shows with a bunch of animals in it. That aren't Camp Lazlo. I don't know. I haven't seen Gym Partner in a long time, aside from this episode and then the Invaded episode, which we talked about in one of the recast episodes. You should go check it out. So I can't say if as a whole the show holds up, but I think it holds. I don't know. I didn't hate watching this in the way that I hated watching the Camp Lazlo thing.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah, the same. I don't think I hated it really. I just didn't feel strongly. That's about it. I mean, I guess it did feel a little bit. I think the word is like shallow. It wasn't like super shallow, but it just didn't feel like it was trying to really stand out against like all the other school themed cartoons like at the time.
Yeah, fair. It certainly is. Cartoon Network, for whatever reason, in this time period, was really churning out a lot of shows that felt very samey. You had this, you had Camp Lazlo, you had Juniper Lee. Not that Juniper Lee was similar to these shows, but just that it was similar to other things, other action shows. It's you could unfavorably compare it to like Danny Phantom as well, you know, the
Yeah, like,
living two lives. It's their responsibility to fight, you know, all this stuff. Juniper Lee's similar to other shows, and it lags behind, I think, at least from what I've seen. And the fact that people love Danny Phantom to this day and no one talks about Juniper Lee, I think kind of says it. And like Squirrel Boy was another one that Cartoon Network was doing at the time. Like, it's just
I forgot
really,
about that.
yeah. Well, they're really forgettable shows, to be
It's
honest.
really bad. That intro to Squirrel Boy, oh my gosh, I can't stand the
It's
intro.
always the show that a kid goes to school and does something.
Not from the USA, so you have to ask: are school elections really a thing there? They are, but they're not really that important generally. I think it's just an excuse to do an election episode. You know, it's
Yeah,
right. Like I think they're a thing. I couldn't tell you who my school president was or grade president, but I think they existed.
yeah. I mean, my school had a council basically.
Mm.
But yeah, no. In my experience, at least, things in pop culture like shows and animation and all that stuff kind of hype the thing up a bit more than what reality has
Right.
it being. Because like, you know, their whole episode's based around this stuff, and at my school, it was like no one really cared.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too, is especially politics. It's a very, you know, universal subject that a lot of people pay attention to and know about, and so making the school election act more like the presidential election, you know, it makes it more universally like everyone knows it or understands it, and it allows them to comment on it in a way that like you probably wouldn't really see a lot of parallels with real life elections at the school level, to be honest with you. Yeah, good point, Zane. It's the same thing as like bullies, right? It's like, yeah, bullies exist at school, certainly, but the kind of bully that gives like wedgies and shoves people in lockers, I would imagine I never dealt with that kind of
Neither
bully.
did I. No.
Like, you know, it's either a thing that was common years and years ago, or it's just a thing that, you know, this is what the extreme of bullying is. Like, this is what, you know, you're right, Shadow. You pump it up. Whatever the thing is, you pump it up to make it more cartoony and over the top.
Yep.
Which is kind of a funny thing to say, because I mean, like we were just saying, it didn't really like do much to stand out, even against like other school election episodes. I felt like it just, I mean, it really was an election that took place, and it happens to be jungle themed, sort of.
Yeah. Next up.
All right. Next up, we have quite an appealing episode, actually. The Grim
Oh,
Adventures
boy.
of Billy and Mandy with My Fair Mandy. This
Here we
episode is
go.
awesome. I love this
Shut
episode.
up. I have to describe it. I have to hang on. Okay, so this episode is about Mandy, and basically everyone's rival Mindy is entering in the school beauty pageant and taunts Mandy and saying that she'd never win such a pageant, which motivates Mandy to try and do so. Grim summons some sort of like Joan Rivers type character who had a lot of work done to help Mandy, and just kind of a bunch of gags ensue about beauty pageants, and ultimately they decide that Mandy has to smile if she wants to win, and when she does that, she messes with the natural order. Oh yeah!
Yes. This episode is
Man,
awesome. Awesome.
100%.
And it is a shame that this was not nominated.
As soon as I found out that like this was one of those that didn't get nominated, I hadn't even seen it, but I knew like this was one that like the internet loves. I was like, what? Ow! Like, why would you pick this over, not pick this over anything else? Like, what?
Listen, I don't think it's that good an episode, but it's a
How
solid
dare
episode of the
you?
Grim
It
Adventures
is,
of Billy
it
and
is
Mandy.
an awesome episode. Don't
It's
at
a
me.
solid episode.
No,
it's,
it is
it's
not
funny,
just solid.
It's charm-
It is
oh my God.
it is amazing, Pie. It is fantastic. They are whoever worked on this episode, they all deserve like $5,000. They're incredible writers, incredible animators, brilliant, genius masterminds. All of them.
I think there might be a little bias going on.
I don't
here.
know what you're talking about.
I've
I
never
am
seen this show. I'm not
completely
biased.
objective.
Mm-hmm. Shadow, would you like to talk about the thing? Or let's just never talk about it. Let's just not mention it at all.
Uh-oh.
The thing that people remember this episode for. Let's just not mention it.
Okay, I mean, we don't have to talk about the Wizard of Oz. That's fine.
Oh gosh.
Dude.
Look.
Mandy's musical number by itself is incredible. Okay.
I thought it went maybe a little too long, but I do agree that it's necessary to build up to the smile.
Well, that was exactly what I was going to counter that with. It is the perfect build up to such an intense moment. Like, it really it has you on the edge of your seat. All of the characters are constantly commenting on, is she going to smile? This is it. She's got to do it. And it's like building up because this is like a significant milestone in the show. And then as soon as it happens and there's this huge, just over the top dramatic burst of white light coming from Mandy's face, and it just bursts through the theater, and all of a sudden there's this huge gust of wind. Everyone's like falling out of the seats, and then the animation gets all messed up. Dude, incredible. Like, that's how you...
Listen, it's good.
That is...
I'll give it. It's good.
It is such a great gag. I think that entire moment is I don't know. I think the build up to it throughout the entire episode is great. It never feels... I mean, it never feels slow, except for, I would say, after the 24-hour cycle of Billy and Grimm laughing at Mandy to like them getting to the pageant. That portion of the episode feels a little slow, but once they get to the pageant, things kind of, pick up. And I like how they are showing the juxtaposition of all the other girls in the pageant, dressing in these, like these pretty dresses, and they're all done up and they're all doing their different talents. And then Mandy's just like completely flopping on everything. It's great. Also, you've got that iconic intro of Erwin sucking on the lime. Hey, Mandy. And then it's just like 30 seconds of him sucking on this lime. And it's like it shouldn't be funny, but it is. Because it's just like so awkward, but it's great.
And he's...
Yes.
Isn't it sublime?
Oh my gosh. But yes, no, I don't know. This episode had me laughing quite a bit, and this is a good episode of Mindy and Mandy having or is it Mindy or Cindy? I always mess it up.
Are you trying to do the joke in the episode? No?
All right. That's what I was going for.
Cindy.
That's right.
Mindy.
See, that's why it throws me off. But yeah, Mindy and Mandy's rivalry.
Shadow is Billy confirmed.
I think this is a great episode that shows off their rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Go ahead.
The last time I saw Billy and Mandy, well, I guess was Invaded. But also I tried to rewatch Keeper of the Reaper, and I wasn't really that enamored with it. I kind of found it annoying, which is sad because I really liked it as a kid. And so I've kind of avoided going back to the show because I'm like, I'd rather just let it be a happy memory. Like I don't need to revisit this. But no, I was definitely pleasantly surprised. This is good. This is a good episode, and Shadow's absolutely right. That ending just kind of broke my brain as a kid, like seeing this in 2006. I mean, it just comes out of absolute nowhere. It's not foreshadowed in the slightest. And then also I do appreciate that they put great effort into talking about Mandy smiling. And yes, you can make dumb pop culture or dumb like references and jokes about being like, "Huh, she smiled in the early pilots," and it's like, yeah, who cares? Who cares? This is a thing she doesn't do in the show, and very, very rarely has she ever been portrayed smiling. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal, and the show makes it a big deal and really hypes it up. And ultimately, we don't even get to see it. We see it kind of happen, and then we don't see it.
You see like a close-up of her mouth kind of like forming a smile, and like her teeth kind of puffing out, but you don't see her whole face. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, so, I think this episode, there are definitely funny jokes in it. Erwin just is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. The parts where Mandy's on stage and nobody claps for her, and then Erwin's like, "Yeah, let's go!" by himself. Oh my gosh, that killed me as a kid. It killed me now. It's great.
Yeah.
I thought that bird thing that like appears before and after the commercial breaks was funny too. I don't know if he has a name, but
The Raven.
I thought his
Yeah.
over the top, huh? Yeah, I thought his
Did-
over the top reactions were really funny,
Did
especially
he-
when he's like, "I don't care what's gonna happen. Here's an important commercial message."
Shadow, did he appear in the Invaded episode?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he's like a semi-recurring character.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like the fact that the
Okay.
principal just kind of bullies Mandy.
Dude, I like the part where the principal just goes up on stage and sings for no reason. And it's just like, why is he doing this? And no one in the crowd responds. Everyone's just quiet as this random dude's just singing this song. It's like he's so into it and he shouldn't be.
There's also the pirate because it's a scurvy prevention week.
Yes.
So of course there just has to be a random pirate.
Voiced by Tom
and-
Kane.
It's Pickle Gums. Guess what,
Funniest
Morty? I turned my
pageant
gums into a pickle. Yar.
Funniest pageant I've ever seen. Yeah.
One thing I did like, speaking of foreshadowing, I liked how like right around the beginning of the episode, Billy's nose is like insulted, and then like a couple minutes later, or a few minutes later, when they're at the pageant, Mandy punches it off. I thought that was a funny callback to that.
Yeah, they do a lot of gags with Billy's nose over the course of the show. There's an episode where it gets stolen.
Yep.
And that's the plot. I don't remember who
amazing.
steals it or why, but yeah. Yeah, no, Billy and Mandy,
Yeah, for
it's
somebody
definitely a show that goes for the
who
big
hadn't like.
it goes for the big jokes. You know, it goes for the possibly inappropriate jokes or the, you know, the out there jokes or the mean jokes or what it like it really goes for it, and it really I think, you know, I appreciate this even more after seeing Jim Partner, Juniper Lee, and then, you know, Camp Lazlo last week. Like, this show definitely has a style and is very different and unique and its own thing compared to a lot of the stuff that Cartoon Network was putting out at the time. And I think it's probably just because it was, you know, it had been around for a few years. It was kind of a holdover, you know, like this and Ed, Edd and Eddy, Kids Next Door, like the cartoon holdovers, basically, I think are what kind of carried the network during that time until Chowder came, and some people really liked that show.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a
Not
really
me.
strong like
Not
sarcastic
you, but
edge to it.
I will pick up
Yeah.
the slack for you, Pie, because Chowder's
That's fine.
awesome.
Monsters loves it too. I don't know.
Yes! We need...
Yeah, for somebody.
The Chowder fandom needs to...
It was the Yes era. Very good, Shadow. Yes.
The Chowder fandom needs to have an uprising. We need to bring back that show and
Ready-
prove
ready-
how good it was, because
Ready
there's
for
so
me
many
to-
people that sleep on it.
I'm gonna trigger everyone. Ready? Flapjack was better.
No, it wasn't. You're incorrect.
Oh.
You are factually incorrect. The only thing that Flapjack does better is it is more grotesque. But
It's
other than
dangerous
that-
and risky, but adventurous and free.
Oh my gosh. Pie.
What's Shatter's
no.
theme song even? It doesn't even
You
have one.
take
Like, who
the
cares,
moon
right?
and you take the sun.
And you throw it in the
You
trash.
take
where Shatter
everything that
belongs.
seems like fun. You stir it all up and then you're done. Rada 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 rada.
Shatter is it's
How
the
do you
opinion
not?
that
How do you forget you take the moon and you take the sun? Come on.
I didn't watch it. I just didn't watch
How
it. It didn't
could
look
you?
interesting.
It's so good.
There might be a time. Well, guess what? It never gets nominated, so I won't ever have to watch it.
I will make you watch it because it's
Rada
good.
rada.
Dude. Don't even.
Why even?
Yeah,
did it
for
get
somebody
did
who
it get
hadn't-
submitted? I don't think so.
Well, it wasn't out yet this year. I don't know if it got submitted the other years, but
Not an excuse.
well, I'm gonna make my own Emmy show, and I'm gonna nominate Chowder and nothing.
We
else.
already did. You could. You could, Shadow.
You know,
you could have done it, but guess
I-
what? Guess what? You didn't do it.
Guess what?
You
I
didn't
did.
do
Guess
it.
what? I did. I picked the Fry Cook Games. Don't you remember? Not the Fry
That's
Cook
a,
Games.
That's
the
a
Apprentice
SpongeBob
Games.
episode.
The Apprentice
You're
Games.
referencing a
The
SpongeBob episode.
Apprentice Games. I nominated that. I did talk about it. Don't even at me with that. Boom. I rest my case. By the way, guys, I don't know if you knew this, But Chowder is a great show, and you should all go watch it and not listen to anything Pi has to say about it.
I like that the title on the thing is just The Grim, and then the rest is just like in little text. So if you just were scrolling by, you'd think the show's just called The Grim.
The Grim.
I might like Chowder, to be honest with you. I saw like a few things from it, a few episodes, and it just didn't grab me when I was younger.
Do you remember what episodes you saw?
No, God, what? No.
Well, I mean, Chowder has bad episodes, so maybe you just saw the bad ones.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no. You know what I did? I went online and I was
What's
like,
the worst episode of Chowder? I went to
the TV.com forums. As was popular in 2006.
I'm gonna base my whole opinion off of this one guy who says the show's bad, so I think it's bad too.
You know, Dad, Flapjack is a good show too.
It's like poetry; it rhymes. Okay. Anyway.
Well, gee, Chris, no one watched it because we were too busy watching Chowder.
Did you know that Robot Chicken is the highest rated program on Cartoon Network? Oh my god.
Okay.
Anyway, also, there's a Powerpuff Girls sequence in here. It's the best part of the whole episode. It's incredible. They got Tom Kenny to come back and voice the professor. Tom Kenny does the voiceover narration as the narrator, and there's a great gag, and the fact that Grimm is Blossom is hysterical.
Why that particularly?
Because he's got excessively long, fiery red hair, and it's just with his scowl on his face. He's sure, Mandy's like grumpy and doesn't want to be there, but Grimm especially is just like, no, I'm not doing this. It's great. It's great. I love it. It's such a great way to end the episode.
Shadow, Tom Kenny didn't voice the professor.
No, Tom Kane. Oh my god, don't do this. Gosh dang it.
I know everyone does this. Maybe it's just a meme. Maybe that's just what you do. If you say Tom Kane, you act stupid and you say, "Oh, that Tom Kenny wasn't in this."
Either that or everyone just thinks when I say Tom Kane, they hear Tom Kenny and think it's the same person.
No, I think our viewers are smart and mean.
Oh, okay.
That's how I choose to see them.
Mean.
I knew about the sequence, of course, just from online talk and whatnot. So I knew it was coming. I didn't know how it was coming, but even bearing that in mind, I still thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, the episode was a really, really good introduction, I feel, for someone who this was his first episode of the show at all.
I would definitely think that, of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy episodes, of the ones that I can remember as iconic episodes, there's the early short where, oh gosh, it's the musical where Billy is bringing the brains to the rock. There's that. There's this episode, particularly because of the ending, and then Keeper of the Reaper, for whatever reason, felt like a big episode at the time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. And Big Boogie's Adventure, I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the Great Adventures of the Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they did a Kids Next Door crossover?
They did multiples. Well,
man.
there was a cameo.
Yep.
Yeah. Kepler of the Repper. Oh yeah, the Wishbone episode. That's right.
Yeah, there's also the Clowns episode.
They're
Destroy
different.
us all. Destroy us all.
I hate you because of your different ways.
Yeah.
They think they're better than us, Billy.
Yeah. No, I have the same sentiment as you, Pi, when it comes to Grim Adventures. It's I remember this show fondly, and I feel like if I go back and watch it now, I'm not going to like it, and that image of it is going to be tarnished. So I don't want to watch it out of that fear. I'd rather just keep the happy memories of it.
Fair. Yeah. Very fair. This episode's about beauty pageants, and those are a thing that still exist and are very controversial, and child beauty pageants particularly, but I guess also beauty pageants in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, although I guess this episode, much like many Billy and Mandy episodes, doesn't really have a good moral, because basically Mandy is bullied into doing something she doesn't want to do because she's convinced it'll make the judges view her as pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty messed up, but it's not portraying it as a good thing, I guess. Although Shadow, would you do a really bad thing if it meant you got to be a Powerpuff Girl?
Yeah.
I think you would.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, speaking of that sequence, I thought it was funny, like when the professor is talking to the Powerpuff Girls quotation marks. He doesn't even like question; he just talks to it them as if they are the girls.
Yeah, and then the best part is they made Irwin Mojo Jojo.
Which I never
That's
seen
right.
because Cartoon Network squished it at the time, and at least some airings of it, they do the stupid
Yeah,
thing
I
where they
remember
squish
when
it
they
and
would
like
do
talk
that.
over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's lame.
So
Yeah, but no, it's
I got that on my my disc. So I got to see that. That was funny.
So Shadow, this was a Powerpuff Girls like appearance between the original show and the 10th anniversary special, right?
Yes. Yep.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Although I mean, I guess it is the professor.
It is.
So
the
like
professor.
the girls don't appear, but I'm just saying there's a Powerpuff Girls character that appears in this as themselves.
Yes. There's
Yes.
two because the narrator is in there as well.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Remember that time the narrator got kidnapped?
Yes, that is a great episode from the 5th and 6th
I love
season
that
era.
episode.
Yeah, that's a tolerable one from that time period. Was Tom Kenny in all these? No, was he in Juniper Lee?
I don't know.
He was
if
in
I
Camp
had-
Laszlo.
He was in
He's
Camp
Lumpus.
Laszlo.
And he was Eduardo in Foster.
Yes. I don't know if he was a character in Juniper Lee. I don't remember hearing his voice because I feel like he probably was, but I didn't recognize him. Maybe he wasn't. Because I definitely
Feel like-
remember Jeff Bennett, Maurice LaMarche, Grey Delisle, Tara Strong. I don't know if he was in Juniper Lee, but he was in the other four.
Shadow, Tom Kane.
Oh,
He's the professor. Tom Kenny
oh my
is the
God.
narrator.
Oh my God.
I'm just repeating what Chad is telling me.
What? I never. Is the chat seriously gonna sit here and tell me I don't know which one's which?
Yes. Yes.
You don't know who you're talking to.
Oh, all right, Shadow. All right.
I have.
You don't know.
I have a channel
Calm down, Butch
dedicated.
Hartman.
I have a channel dedicated to the Powerpuff Girls. Okay.
And you're
I
gonna
know
take
my
me
stuff.
down?
No.
I've made over 600
oh my
Powerpuff
God.
reviews,
No.
and you are gonna sit there and critique me?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I
Do
am
not put those words
a
in my
loving
mouth.
husband and a Christian of many years, and you're gonna tell me how to make my references to actors?
Okay, we can move on.
All right. So listen, I'm gonna put a poll up right now. Of these 3 episodes, which one should have made the nominee instead of Camp Laszlo?
Instead of Camp Laszlo?
Yeah.
What about
Hey.
Foster's?
Oh, all right. Fair enough. I forgot which Foster's episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just of these 3. That's all I'm saying. Please keep the show going while I'm typing this. Someone.
No, we're all
Please.
just gonna sit here and listen to you as you
Jeez.
type out the poll.
Like.
I like bitter silence.
Oh my God. Who carries this show? Am I right?
Me, obviously. Okay.
Okay. Well, would either of you like to rank these
Pie,
or compare them to the?
Hi, Butch Hartman's in the chat. Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
no!
he found us. He found us. He says
Please,
we're
Mr.
pushing
Hartman,
it. Mr. Hartman,
don't-
please, I'm sorry. I know you made my childhood and nobody else is responsible for it but you. I'm so sorry. You are the single person that created the entire being of who I am today. I apologize.
We said good things about Danny Phantom this week, Mr. Hartman. All right.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, let's see. Which Hartman?
So
should
you
we
want to
ban
rank
from
them
here?
first, Shadow? I guess.
Yeah, we can rank them. Did you put the poll up yet, Pi?
Working on it, but you guys keep distracting me because you're dead silence, and I have to do the. I have to keep people entertained and work on this and remember what episodes.
You had a solid 30 seconds there, my guy. I was
I'm a
talking
slow
about Butch
typist, and I'm
Hartman.
remembering the episode names.
Just
and
put
trying to
the,
format it in the small character. No, I want to do the episode names too.
just
All
put
right.
the Halloween one for Juniper Lee. No one cares.
It's the great pumpkin Juniper Lee.
Yes.
It's the great waste of time, Juniper Lee.
You guys could have been doing your list while I'm doing this. Oh my gosh.
I didn't want to
We got other
influence...
stuff to get to this
Listen,
week. It's very important.
Listen, do you really think that a documentary about monsters that aren't actually monsters is important? No. We're going to spend like 5 minutes on that and then move on because no one cares.
We have to watch it for an hour and a half. We need to milk it for content, for the love of Neptune.
What content are we going to get out of that crap?
Why are you You're basically telling them to turn away after this. We want to keep them around.
No, don't
Please.
turn away. Don't turn away. We're going to talk about My Life as a Teenage Robot. So
we'll do that last to keep you guys on the hook. All right. Anyway, hey, okay, fine. I guess I'll go since neither of you did it. I'm sorry.
I'll go.
CDCB,
right.
I'm not mad at you. It's just Shadow.
Okay.
He should
I'm
be a
gonna go
host
ahead
here.
and name my ranking of the 5 episodes, guys. Now that Pi has put the poll up. So, of the 5 Cartoon Network episodes that should have been nominated, I would put Juniper Lee at the absolute bottom because at least Foster's had a couple things worth talking about. But then I'm going to put Foster's at number 4. This is where it gets tough for me because while I think that the My Gym Partners episode was inoffensive, as far as Camp Lazlo goes, I think that the doll episode of Camp Lazlo was actually more noteworthy because it had a very good message, as dry as it might have been. It's a message I'm very supportive of. But I think that the Gym Partner episode was better than Undercooked Beans, so I'm kind of going back and forth here. But ultimately, because of the fact that My Gym Partner's a Monkey was shorter than Camp Lazlo, I'm going to put Camp Lazlo third, My Gym Partner second, and Billy and Mandy takes number 1 without any competition whatsoever. So, yeah, that's my ranking. There you go.
All right. That's a great point. Was there even a pumpkin in that episode?
I don't think there was. Not even like a jack-o'-lantern.
See, I don't know. God, I don't even know what to put last. It's tough. I'm gonna put My Fair Mandy at number 1. I'll go the other way. Yeah, My Fair Mandy. I think it deserved the nomination. I don't think it's like a top tier episode of television, period. But I do think it does things that none of these other episodes do, including like building up to a big reveal and surprising cross show. Weirdness. Like it has stuff that none of the rest of these nominees did. So, yeah. So Billy and Mandy number 1. I'm gonna put Gym Partner at number 2. As bland as it is, I guess I thought it was tolerable, even funny maybe once or twice, and then I don't know.
I want to hear this part.
I'm gonna put Juniper Lee in the middle.
No way.
Oh,
Okay, here's the thing.
Wow.
I'm going to give it a little bit of the benefit of the fact that I am not familiar with the show. All right, that's maybe there's more going on there. If I had known the show, I would have gotten it or something. I thought it was bad, but I was at least curious as to where the story was going to go. Then I am going to put the Camp Lazlo episode at 4 because it was just boring. Both of them were boring. Both halves. I agree with you. It's a good message, but it's a message that just was so boring. Just so boring. And then I'd put Foster's Dead last just because I think that one is actively aggravating and just so nothing of an episode that, I mean, yeah, it gave us stuff to talk about, but I hated it, man. I feel like it pushes a stupid message. It just utterly completely changes Goo's character off screen to give us a happy ending. It's nothing but crapping on Mac for 30 minutes. Just really aggressively bad, whereas I think Juniper Lee and Camp Lazlo are more on the boring side of bad. You guys want me to switch Juniper Lee and Camp Lazlo, don't you?
I do.
It's close, man. It's close. I know. Shouldn't it
Should
be
I go
which one
next?
deserved the nomination, not the nominee? Listen, I was trying to type it out while keeping you guys entertained. All right. Um, hang on. I'm trying to decide if I want to switch those two. Gabe Laszlo's just so boring. It's just so boring. Juniper Lee at least made me. I laughed at how the one monster looked like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton mixed together. I don't think that was the intention. That would be a very weird prediction, I suppose. But all right, fine. Camp Laszlo can go in the middle slot, and I'll bump Juniper Lee down.
Yes.
Juniper Lee does have actively bad storytelling, whereas Camp Laszlo is just boring. It's just nothing. It's like I shouldn't even put it on the list, to be honest.
We convinced
All right,
Fair
you
enough.
guys.
go CDCB.
All right. So I'll go from bottom to top. So dead last, Life and Times of Juniper Lee. Pretty much for the reason you guys already said. I mean, it just, as a first timer watching the show, it just didn't make me interested at all. In finding out more about the characters or the universe. I mean, it might just be a weird formula shaking episode of the show, but again, like, why would you nominate that if it doesn't show what the show is about? It just baffles me. So, and then just factoring in last week's nominees, the ones that did get nominated, I think Foster's probably would go next, because it at least did make me interested in the show. I thought the characters had like pretty decent personalities, like interesting enough. Not so much the main guy, Mac, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Mac, I mean, is kind of like whatever, but some of the side friends were kind of interesting. The big purple lumpy guy with the bucket teeth
Eduardo.
or whatever. Yeah. I thought he was kind of cool. I think number 3 would be my gym partner is a monkey, because, like, I mean, I didn't really hate it. I didn't really like it a whole lot, but it was just kind of like run of the middle, like whatever. Laszlo, I actually would put it number 2 because I thought Hello Dolly was very funny. Don't kill me, pie.
If you like SpongeBob,
Say fair enough.
If you like zero
I mean, I thought it
sugar
was funny
SpongeBob.
because like they stuck up the whole boy likes girl stuff cliche, and it got some laughs. And then of course number 1, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I thought that was by far the best.
Yeah.
Of the
No contest really.
Not at all.
To be honest, I mean, I think, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think of the 2 that actually made it in and the 3 potentials, Billy and Mandy is the only one that even comes close to deserving to just be on the actual list. Like I don't think Political Animals deserved it. I don't think any of them. Any of them other than Billy and Mandy. Billy and Mandy actually did a few things that are a little different for the form, as well as just being the funniest of all this bunch.
Absolutely.
I asked you something, CDCB, about the order of the discs in the book, and
That's
just
right.
just on a hunch, I figure maybe if I was a hack, and not a complete hack, right? If I was somewhat of a hack, maybe I just didn't have a lot of time, and I was an Emmy voter, and there was a lot to watch. I would probably only watch the first 2 or 3 in the book, and then be like, yeah, those are good enough. Shove them in there. So which ones were the first 2 in the book?
They were the Laszlo and Foster's episodes.
What a coincidence.
Suspicious.
Yeah, I can't really think of any other justification other than the moral aspect of it. Maybe that's it, because if you look at these 3 episodes, there's no morals in any of them. And in fact, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is like almost like it is like an anti-moral, really.
Yep.
But Foster's has the moral of be nice to someone who may be annoying or whatever. Even though I think that was horribly mishandled, and you shouldn't be nice to someone annoying if they actively disregard your thoughts and feelings constantly. And the Camp Lazlo episode did have a message about, boys playing with traditionally feminine things, which, again, I don't think it's a particularly powerful message in the episode, but I do agree with the message, and I do think it's something that, at this time period, 2006, wasn't being said that much.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And, big props to Joe Murray for, then going further with it and actually including a trans character in the Rocco special. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right. So I believe that's been our dive into this week's failed nominations. As far as Cartoon Network, we don't know what else, like what Fox else sent in, or what any other network. If we did some digging. No, if we did some digging, maybe we could find out, and maybe we'll do this again another week if there's something interesting that gets dug up. But thank you, CDCB, for being on this week.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we sign you off, and then Shadow and I are going to talk about the 2-hour-long nominees?
No, I mean, I think I had a great time. I think I had a great time. It was, love to do this again sometime if I somehow magically get another set of discs. I don't know. But until then, hasta pizza.
All right, see you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, the poll, which I guess I don't really need to announce it since you guys can just see it, but I'll end it. Wow, he's really slowly getting out of here. Okay. Thanks, Shadow. Yep. Billy and Mandy won in a landslide. Out of 45 votes, Billy and Mandy had 84%. Great Pumpkin Juniper Lee had 8%, and Jim Partner had 6%. That shocks me, but whatever. If you didn't vote for Billy and Mandy, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, Shadow, what were the nominees in the hour or more category for 2006?
Well, Pi, wouldn't you know it, there were a whopping 2 of them. So, first up, we have one with a very weird naming scheme. The official nomination has it listed as Before the Dinosaurs. However, the actual name of the documentary is called Walking with Monsters: Life Before Dinosaurs. So
the reasoning, as far as we could tell, it was because there was a Walking with Dinosaurs special that they nominated a previous year and won.
Yes,
right?
There was Walking with Dinosaurs, which won in a previous year. And then there was another documentary, and I double-checked this right before the show. There was another documentary that also won called Walking with Prehistoric Beasts. So, and then there was another documentary called Chased by Dinosaurs that also won. So this is by no means the last time we're going to be talking about a documentary in this style. But
who's that from offstage walking in? It's no one.
Okay,
no one's here.
I was about to say, turn the question back. I hope not.
Okay. All right. What's the other thing?
The other thing, totally worthy of being in the same category. My Life as a Teenage Robot with the special Escape from Cluster Prime. Yeah, and those are the 2 nominees. That's it. So
this is as close as we'll ever get to talking about Robot and Monster.
Oh my god. Oh, you're not wrong. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you can be proud of yourself for that one.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
So I didn't watch the documentary this week because I'm afraid of walking. So.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just kidding. We both Shadow and I actually watched. Well, we're gonna talk about that first, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes. We're getting it out of the way.
All right. Walking with Monsters. Both Shadow and I watched this together. There were some undersea segments, but we all got by.
I wasn't watching that part. I just looked away.
Okay. All right.
I did.
So this is a documentary that is CG, I believe with real backgrounds, just like real photography or whatever backgrounds. I don't know. And effectively, the idea is it kind of shows a few different creatures at various points in evolution. Like it'll show, it'll be like, this is the ancient, schmooblefish, and its predator, the schmorkel shark.
Yeah, and they were hunting down the flebe.
And here you take the schleem. But yeah, it's like, it's hunting it down. Notice how it uses its, hard skull to avoid the getting bitten. And then it'll like, show the thing, and it'll have a timer, age it up like, 100,000 years or whatever. Yeah, yeah. And then it'll be like, notice how it's evolved to lay its eggs on land instead of in water. So basically it's that. And the difficulty I have with something like this is that I found it kind of boring, but ultimately I like the documentaries. I'm just not that interested in nature documentaries personally. I would have never watched this on my own. So to evaluate it, I kind of have to take away some of like how I actually felt watching it and try to put myself in the perspective of someone who actually cares about ancient creatures.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah. And this is the main point that I kept bringing up when we were watching this is this is a fake nature documentary because a lot of the things that are shown in this special are hypothesized. These aren't actual, like we have record of creatures like these existing in the past through things like carbon dating and fossils and remnants of things like that. However, a lot of this comes across to me because we have no way of really we had no way of recording that back then because of how far back it goes, that a lot of the behaviors that are shown in this series, I'm assuming to be hypothesized. I mean, sure, there's definitely a lot of merit to the how the creatures changed over time and how things moved out of water onto land, how the eggs kind of developed, things like that. Totally
specific
viable.
Fights that they got into with other, and I mean, well, that's the problem with something like this is just you don't. There's no citations. No. Maybe in the credits there was like something, but like I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say this. We don't know this happened because maybe something about the fossils and the carbon dating and all this other stuff does tell us this. But I don't know, and that's kind of the problem. If I'm watching this to get educated, I don't know how much. I guarantee you, some of this is what we know. Yeah. But how much of the rest of it is creating a narrative for a documentary versus we have proven this. With these facts. Yeah. It's hard to say.
And that's where while I wouldn't say this is as insulting of a nomination as Alien Earths, that whole aspect is very similar to that documentary when we talked about that one, because it's like there is a baseline of evidence that yes can be proven, but it feels like most of the things that are talked about in here are inferred rather than factual, and that is where it's kind of like, well, I don't know what to believe. So
yeah, I mean, so from an educational standpoint, sorry. Like, look, if this gets kids interested in learning about this stuff, then maybe it did its job. Although this isn't really for kids because it's pretty dry.
Pi, what was the most iconic moment in this documentary for you?
The centipede.
Okay, my answer is the two lizards that as soon as they finished mating, that freshwater shark monster came up and ate one of them. Right after they finished mating. That was like, they're like, what?
Yeah, we get an extended shot of these two things procreating, and then immediately afterwards, there's this primordial shark thing that, like, comes up on land, like it beaches itself a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay, it tried to get these things and couldn't, and then the thing starts like flopping
up and gets it, and then somehow manages to pull itself back in the water. Like, that was the most, like, not that I was ever really suspending my disbelief, but that was the most like, what the heck is going on? Like, it felt so out of place compared to everything else in this entire special.
But because they're trying to make it interesting, because it is pretty dry.
You want to know what made it interesting? The fact that every 5 minutes a monster had to touch the camera.
Oh. So a stylistic choice in this is that they're all CGI. They're all, none of them are real creatures. But I guess in an effort to try to fool your brain into thinking they're real, they have several shots where there's a shot where there's a stampede or a bunch of them walking and look at the camera, specifically at the camera. Another one will be digging and they'll hit dirt at the camera, and it doesn't make sense because the tail of that monster is wagging where the camera would be. So if we are trying to say, suspend your disbelief and say this is a documentary where there is a camera there to get dirt on, it utterly fails because the tail shouldn't be breaking the fourth wall in that way. Yep. But it happens a few times, and it's just kind of a baffling creative choice. This is narrated by Kenneth Branagh, by the way. I don't know. Yeah. So as I mentioned, my favorite part was the centipede thing.
This is great too.
Yeah, Steven Universe comes out and fights it. Yeah. So okay. So this is an all CGI TV level documentary that came out around 2006. So, of course, the CG isn't going to be like Pixar levels.
I just
great.
remembered the lizard going up the tree. Oh my god.
All right, let me describe it to them, Shadow. None of these people watch this, all right? We're the only ones. Us and Roedever, I think.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so anyway. Obviously, the CG isn't going to look like, 2021 movie level CG. But it honestly varies how good it looks. There are parts of this that genuinely do look like real animals, or at least real enough to your brain that you're not bothered by it. Then, every so often, they'll pull out a big centipede monster that it doesn't look right, and it doesn't move right. And then, every so often, there'll be a scene of one of the lizard things climbing up a tree where its legs are clearly moving faster than it's going up the tree, and it just doesn't... It looks like Birdemic. It doesn't look good.
No, dude, every time they had a fight scene... Oh my gosh. You remember when the centipede monster fought the lizard thing and the lizard just somehow flipped it onto that spike even though there was no momentum?
It was like a stalactite
and then
chilling
it just
in the
went
forest.
Straight through to the... it went the whole way through its body, and then the centipede fell all the way to the floor. It's there was no force. There was no momentum. This lizard thing just popped it up a little bit, and it just smashed through this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then...
This was after the Gem War, yeah.
Yeah. Of course. No, it's there were moments where it was yeah, I can make fun of this because it's dumb, but
I like how the mean dinosaurs that are cannibal or monsters that are cannibals and eat their young, they had edgy eyeliner.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing, I guarantee you we knew nothing about the the coloration or the texture of these things, right? Because Bones won't tell you that. That's why we still are a little confused on what's going on with the T-Rex.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, think that it was just a lizard, but a lot of people theorize they actually had feathers because they're related to birds. So.
I theorize that you have feathers, Shadow.
Oh, thank you.
Although I recently saw your torso in a video.
You did. Did I have feathers?
No.
Yeah. So how's that make you feel?
Shoutouts to the time Shadow showed his torso off in one of his videos.
Yeah, I did. It was great.
Shadow, when we do the next Sonic stream, in addition to the Corey music, I'm gonna have your torso on loop.
Do not
dancing.
Even. All right, you don't have to do a Sonic stream ever again. I'm giving you permission.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, people in the chat have no idea what I'm talking about.
Nope.
Okay, so. You type into YouTube. What is it? It's
okay.
So reacting to my old videos. Shadow
Walking
Streak.
with Monsters: Life Before Dinosaurs is not interesting. I mean, it has moments, but for the most part, it was pretty dry the whole way through, like you said. I mean,
I think on a technical level, there is impressive animation in this. I think that
points.
Also.
Yes.
There is in it. Yeah, that's what I said. Yes. I didn't say it's good overall, but I do. Would you disagree?
At
the
points,
fish.
I agree.
I mean,
yes.
the fish just looked like fish. Like they didn't, you know. And I will say, I feel like the movement, like when they were walking, I think they kind of got the walk cycles down. Make your stupid SpongeBob jokes now, all right? I know you want to do it, chat. Go ahead, get it out of your system. Okay, but the walking cycles I thought were pretty good. It's just when they have these things fight or like run up a tree or do something weird, that's when it's like, oh dear.
Yeah.
As far as relating this to the other two documentaries that I watched, the space one, Alien Earths, that's the worst because
Yeah.
as much as this is, hypothesizing, Alien Earths was really just like, okay, so maybe somewhere out there could be a planet that's really hot. At least this one has like a kind of narratives in terms of like, struggles between these creatures, or like what, maybe they're just completely made up, but at least from an entertainment standpoint, it's much better than that. And this is completely animated. There's no live action thing. Yes, the evolving visual was pretty cool. I agree. We were singing the Pokemon of evolution music whenever that happened.
Yes.
Yeah, but overall, I personally didn't enjoy this. I think there are ethical concerns, questions about something like this, and maybe it is all factual. I don't know, but it does. I don't feel like I came away learning anything because I'm like, I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, we'll say it. Oh, so the I also thought this was better than the weird whale one. The whale thing was, I know you didn't watch it, but I don't even know if I got a chance to talk about it with how much we just made fun of you.
Oh.
No, the whale thing was like pretty forgettable. It was very like small in scope because it was mostly just on the whales, and the visuals weren't that interesting because it's like under the sea you can obscure CG so much so that you're like not even really sure. It just looks like a big gray blob. So I think this was the best of the ones we've watched, but I don't think it belongs in this category, especially with what it is actually against. I think if you had a technical animation category, I think this deserves a nomination for 2006.
Yeah, technically speaking, I would agree. The last thing I want to bring up that was kind of a little, I wasn't really a fan of, was the fact that it kept jumping around to all these different creatures at various points in their evolutionary stages.
And locations.
Yeah, and locations, that it just felt like a bunch of disjointed snapshots. There wasn't really a consistent thing, because it's like, well, this creature evolved at this point in time over here, but now we're going to jump over to the spider, which has already evolved in a completely
I forgot about the
different
giant
chain.
spider.
Yeah.
There's a Minecraft spider in there.
There is, and it evolved in a completely different way than the other lizard things, but we never saw that. We just jumped to it out of nowhere, and then we somehow wound up in the desert at one point, and that segment went on way too long for what it was. So I wasn't really a fan of that, because it's like, it just felt like there wasn't really a consistency there. We were just jumping around to various creatures at different points in their evolutionary stages without really going through the whole development of one thing. Not that it had to be based around one creature, but I don't know. It just felt very disjointed. So
Yeah. So, but what did you think overall?
Overall, like I said, I agree. Technically speaking, especially for something made for television, there's definitely a good number of moments here that are very well done and definitely make it worthy of a nomination. Would I ever watch this again? Absolutely not. It was boring, unpleasant, and other than the brief moments where we got to make fun of it, I was not invested. I was just kind of waiting for it to be over.
Okay.
So.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Teenage Robot.
All right.
5 o'clock, get a call to go bleeding. The intro, for some reason, the intro of this, like, it shows the Teenage Robot intro, and then it, like, cuts out, like, a film reel, and then we get a more epic version.
And that intro sequence alone was actually, like, a great way to just completely perk me up and get me invested, because I thought it was, it wasn't necessary, but it was a cool intro nonetheless. I like the
certainly
stylized shots where they were doing the opening credits, so, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Escape from Cluster Prime. It's, I believe someone mentioned the second season finale theoretically, but it aired later because Nickelodeon sucks.
Yep.
So this special, it kind of feels like a series finale, whether it was intended as or not. I mean, I don't think the show ends on anything other than just two 11-minute episodes. But basically, after Jenny has spent so many years on Earth, I think just like one or two. But after, the core conceit of the show is that she feels she doesn't fit in on Earth and she struggles to fit in and all this other stuff. She accidentally gets transported to Cluster Prime, where it's everyone's robots and she fits in. And yeah, meanwhile, the cluster takes over the Earth. Jenny finds out that most of the citizens of the cluster have no idea that, they're kind of ruled by an evil person. And yeah, so then Jenny has to save the day. And the humans save the day, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
So I think overall this is good. I have some issues with a lot of the story beats, to be honest with you, but I think overall, as a feeling, as a comedy, as a kind of love letter to what the show is, I think it works. I think the core concept of the story makes a lot of sense for the kind of show that this is. I don't know. Teenage Robot I thought was a good show. It was never my favorite show. I was never really that into the art style, which I know is like a blasphemous thing to say. I think it looks very pretty here. I think it looks very nice. But the whole retro thing, it's just not my preference. That doesn't make it bad or anything. It's just not my preference. But I do agree this looks great, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm a fan of the art style. I actually really like it. The backgrounds are really cool. Like, even this shot here on the stream, I really like the way the city's kind of lit up at the bottom and then it gets, like, really dark as the buildings scale upwards. Lots of cool moments. I really liked getting to see Cluster Prime and all the different robots that there are. I also liked the, what's the word? I don't know that foil would be the right words, but the foil robots of Jenny's friends. You know what I mean?
Doppelgangers.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them, the lookalikes. I thought they were amusing, especially the deep voice short one was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the concept of the fact that all the citizens kind of view the queen as like, a good, powerful leader. They put their trust in her, and Jenny is made out to be this cruel, vicious, like robot destroyer. And I like the way how the whole idea is that none of the robots have their superpowers because their golden chips were taken away, but Jenny still has her powers, and so the city and the schools are essentially teaching its citizens that the powers are a curse. They're a bad thing, that they can bring harm rather than good. And I kind of like that whole idea of Jenny coming here and kind of showing them their ways. That perspective is skewed and they've kind of been lied to. I thought that was an interesting idea.
Yeah, but does it make any amount of sense? I mean, like, look, I know this is a kind of more of a gag-based show, but it's a TV movie. Where do these chips come from, and why were they taken from the robots or just not given to them? Why would the chips have superpowers? Is Vexus trying to keep her own people down? They don't really explain like anything. How like I don't know.
So maybe I mean, this could just be me filling in what I think.
Maybe I missed something. It's entirely possible. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
go for it.
I was under the impression that Vexus just, is a power-hungry ruler, and in order to maintain power, she takes away the ability for the other robots to stop her, and that's why she's confiscated all the golden chips.
But how did she do that
without
them knowing? Like,
now how she did that? I mean, this comes into the question of like, when they're manufactured, is it just that they aren't manufactured with a chip, or like?
Well, then how are they owed a chip? Like, I don't know. The concept just seems
like
a simple way of like, hey, let's give people superpowers at the end for fun. Like,
No, I see what you're saying there. I mean, that's not really explained, and I would probably have to do some deeper thinking to figure out a legitimate explanation for how that
But you
would
shouldn't
work.
have to. You shouldn't
But
have
I
to figure
shouldn't
it.
have
It
to.
should
No,
no.
not for
The whole
that.
thing is if they've been lied to and fed propaganda, then we should learn what the actual truth is. Obviously, she held back these chips in whatever way because she's evil. That's ultimately what it comes down to,
Yeah.
right? Eartha Kitt is an evil character, but that's kind of sad to me because there's also a moment in this where we meet her daughter for some reason. I don't know. They try to play it like it's a big surprise and it's not, and it really doesn't actually affect anything.
Yeah, because at
Except
the end she just turns on her mom for no reason.
yeah, well, that's the thing. There's a moment where she's like, "No, my mom wouldn't do something like that. Like, she's a good person." But we never see even a hint of that. We don't. There's no struggle. You know,
And that's
I have no doubt that Steven Universe was influenced by this because a lot of it does look like Homeworld, to be honest.
very similar vibe.
And we know for a fact Rebecca Sugar watched cartoons around this time. But like, ah man, if you compare something like this to Steven Universe, it just makes this sad, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair of me, but it's just like I wish there was more going on here because it's a TV movie and because they kind of sort of like touch on some bigger stuff, but there is no bigger point to any of this. There's no.
I think what this special needed was two things. I think A, when they were in the school, they need to have some kind of history class where they kind of go over the history of Cluster Prime and maybe in that show how powers could be viewed as a bad thing for the robots. The other thing I think it could have used is examples of Vexus being a good leader for Cluster Prime that would justify and explain why they are willing to follow her and listen to her, why her daughter believes that she is a good ruler, things like that. I think if there were examples and moments of her being a good leader for them in some way, even if it is skewed, and she might have evil intent regardless, as long as it's skewed to make the citizens believe that, I think that would have made this episode benefit immensely. And the fact that that's missing is a big cause for some of the story beats, as we mentioned.
Right, because it's not deep. That's ultimately the thing, and it's not bad. I'm not saying this needed to be deep, but I think there's like a layer of explanation of what the deal is. Like why is she the leader? What how does the society work? Like we don't really learn much about it. And I kind of feel like there needs to be. I don't know. I feel like this needed a bigger arc for Jenny than just like, oh, people don't appreciate me. Oh, I'm on Robot Land. People appreciate me. Like, I feel like there could have been something bigger. I wish she blew up with her friends, right? I wish she felt that her friends didn't. Like, I wish she really got to the bottom of her situation because it doesn't feel like that. It feels like she screws up fighting a monster. Or, excuse me, an alien. This is not Powerpuff Girls. A robot? I don't know. Whatever.
A robot.
I was joking with Shadow that this is like the Powerpuff Girls movie at the beginning. No, but she causes a mess at the beginning when fighting the alien and screws up, and that's what makes her be like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. And it's just like, really, like, I feel like you've messed up worse in the series than that. And then the other thing too is she does not choose to go to the alien planet. She is just accidentally ends there.
Yep.
Via a teleporter thing, which then doesn't make sense later when Vexus takes the slow way back to the cluster. She's trying to race back there, and she chooses to fly back instead of just taking the teleporter thing. Yeah. I don't know. It's just got a lot of those weird contrivances that work in a goofy 11-minute cartoon. But if you're trying to ask me to take this as a bigger thing, right? This is the TV movie of My Life as a Teenage Robot. I kind of want a little more, right? Like, is that wrong? I'm not trying to hate on this. I enjoyed this overall. But I think that it's a little shallow.
Yeah. I agree. There's definitely some things that are overlooked and, try not to think about. Otherwise, you do begin to question things. It's definitely not, I don't know. I don't want to use the wrong word here, but it's one of those things where if you just kind of take it at face value, it's fine. you know, it's a good episode. But the more you think about it, the more you begin to notice the contrivances and the inner workings kind of fall apart.
Right. So Jenny is unappreciated by her peers in the entire show, though. That's my point. That's my point. This needs to feel like the last straw, right? This needs to feel like, you know what? You need to feel like Jenny would legitimately leave behind everyone and want to be on this planet. Where I don't feel that. I feel like she feels like she fits in, but never, ever, ever anywhere in this did I feel like she wasn't going to return to Earth. And not because of, like, cartoon continuity, just because, like, they don't, honestly, A Robot for All Seasons, the Christmas episode, that one feels more like a bigger, everyone has turned against Jenny, she's at the end of her rope, it's a dire situation. I like that more than I like this. I think that hit home a little better. This needed to kind of hit it harder. Yeah, there you go. Put a montage in of how, because she ruined the thing, like, now she's even more hated at school. Now, you know, give some sort of, like, you know, with her and Brad or something, have maybe there's a rift between them. You know, like, it just kind of feels like typical status quo for Jenny, and then she accidentally ends up where you know, in a magical land where she kind of gets what she wanted, and then chooses to reject it just because Earth kind of needs her.
Yep.
I don't know, but I think it's fun. I think there's some good jokes in there. I like the fact that for whatever reason, Tucker's robot counterpart has this really, like, deep, like, old man voice. He's like, "Hey, all right, I'm here." Like, he talks kind of like Danny DeVito for some reason.
He does.
It's just funny. It's just, you don't expect it, so that's funny.
Yep.
And yeah, it is one of those things where if you don't think about the story, if you don't expect it to have bigger, you know, thematic resonance, or bigger character journey, then yes, on the surface, it's a fun, you know, it's a fun romp, right? It's like, she's unappreciated on Earth, she ends up on the cluster planet, but she loves her friends too much, you know, to abandon them. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot in here about the, like, Brad and Tuck fighting against the robot army or whatever, and I wasn't really that amused by it.
I was not invested in the whole Earth sections. I was only interested in Jenny on Cluster Prime. Anything going back on Earth with the humans. Like, I liked the bit with Sheldon and Dr. Wakeman, like, arguing over science, and the fact that their two machines just kind of, like, fell together, and it's like, hey, we did it.
You got iambic pentameter in my trioxy smorbifier.
It's dumb, but, like, okay, I liked that dynamic between those two characters.
That was funny.
That was fun.
Sheldon's a funny character in general.
He absolutely is, but I didn't care about anything else really going on Earth. I mean, I thought, you know, the whole... There was, I guess, a subplot with the bully characters. I'm forgetting their names, but the bully characters, like, switching sides constantly.
That was cute.
It was cute, yeah. But, like, I wasn't really feeling anything that wasn't taking place on Cluster Prime, personally.
Yeah.
So. You got your
we could have had a V8.
Peanut butter.
The V8 engine joke was funny.
Oh, yes, of course. How did I forget that?
But maybe I just don't remember the show very well. Shadow, you seem to be a bigger fan of it. What is the deal with Vexus and Jenny? I remember she wants Jenny to come back to the Cluster Prime, but I don't remember why or what the deal is. They don't really explain it in this.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's not, because someone in the chat explained to me, like, she just wants her. Like, I don't, because I can't really remember. She appears in a few other episodes, certainly. You know, the Cluster is the overarching bad guys of this show. You know, they are the Mojo Jojo, I guess. I don't know.
The Monkey Army. Monkey Army.
Did this come out before or after the Powerpuff Girls movie?
After. This was 3 or 4 years after.
She and the Cluster want to enslave the human race, and Jenny's in the way of that. Okay.
Makes sense.
Fair enough. Why do they need to teach the robots that, like, Jenny is the bad guy, though? Like, what does teaching the random teenagers have to do with
My guess would be in case she ever did come to Cluster Prime and try to she tried to turn them against Vexus. That would be my guess. I would just
Why?
guess that everything is rooted in Vexus not wanting Jenny to stop her.
Right. It was also funny that the so when they do the big reveal that the one robot is the daughter of Vexus, Jenny's like snooping around Vexus's lair and trying to figure out like, ooh, like what's going on here, and she finds the chips, and Vexus's daughter comes home and she's like, Jenny, what are you doing here? And Jenny's like, I could ask you to say, I live here. But it's just like funny that like she never opened like the drawer full of magic power chips. Why would she not have told her daughter about? Like, I don't know. I'm thinking too much about it. It's a silly goof 'em up cartoon with jokes about popular commercials at the time.
Yeah, just take the funny ha-has and don't think about it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Don't try to think too much about Spinel and XJ9. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't cross them streams. She would never tell her daughter because she's evil. Yeah, that's basically it, right? Yeah. That is the explanation to all of Vexus's actions, is that she is evil.
You hit the nail
and this is a
on the
cartoon. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just really, this comes from a time when that is all that cartoons were. And I've seen Rob Renzetti work on a number of projects, including Gravity Falls, that go further. And I'm not trying to dunk on this, but it does kind of feel a little antiquated in my opinion. I don't see why they couldn't have made Vexus a little more interesting and complicated for this TV movie. Because otherwise, why do a TV movie? Why not just make it an 11-minute episode?
Because that's what the network wanted.
Why bother to complain? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about it. I know it sounds like I'm against it, and I'm really not. It's more just that I see a lot of missed potential. I think this is just okay. Maybe if you're a big Teenage Robot fan, this really does it for you. But for me, it just kind of, it's more missed potential than it is anything else, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I definitely see that it could have definitely been better, like undoubtedly.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think this deserved to be nominated? Ignoring the fact that nothing else was, right? Let's pretend there was actual competition.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say it does.
It's kind of pretty.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the backgrounds are great, and I'm a fan of the art style, but
Danny Phantom Ultimate Enemy came out this year? Dang. Yeah, I mean, that puts this to disgrace, because that actually has a pretty big character arc, and yeah. I don't know. This is fine. It's fine for a silly goof 'em up episode that's just real long for some reason. All right. Well, Shadow, how would you rank these two specials?
Well, I'm going to be honest, even though I don't think Teenage Robot deserved to be nominated, I'm still going to put it above Walking with Dinosaurs for the reason being that I cared about it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even, I don't have...
You can't compare these. Like, it's
apples
apples and oranges.
On a personal preference, yes, I enjoyed watching Teenage Robot more than I enjoyed watching an hour-and-a-half documentary. Really dry nature documentary that's all CG. But I think that the CG is pretty impressive for the time. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I'm just not going to give a ranking because I can't.
It's one of those things where it's like, the only reason I'm giving it to Teenage Robot is because it beats the other one in 2 of the 3 categories we've kind of managed to come up with for this.
It does have more of a story than that, true.
And comedy, but it does not beat it technically. So I just give it, because it gets 2 out of 3 categories, that's why I picked it.
You know what? That makes enough sense to me, but I'll put Teenage Robot first, but again, it's just it's so asinine, like really, to think about it in this way, because it's just like, it's like asking you to compare a TikTok to a nature documentary or something. You know what I mean? Like it's like, hey Shadow, which did you like more, that escape room or this pile of candy. It's like,
It's like,
I
yeah.
mean, there might be one that you like more, but how would you ever compare? Like, you can't.
You can't. It's not fair at all.
No. And of course the people voting.
Yeah.
Escape from Cluster Prime won with 92% of 423 votes. Just not surprising at all.
Although,
I mean, the top comment really says it all. Yes?
no, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, the top comment really says it all. I have never heard of Walking with Monsters. I have heard of Teenage Robot. My vote goes to Walking with Monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is Walking with Monsters, aka Before the Dinosaurs, was the actual winner of the award this year.
I'm not mad because, again, on a technical level, I get it. Like, I think it is more technically impressive. And I also think that to people who don't usually watch cartoons or whatever, if you weren't interested in either of these, I could see just giving it to Walking with Monsters just because of the CG. Also, just hypothetically, if you were to take a snippet, right? If you were to watch the first 5 minutes of either of these, you'd probably be more impressed by the CG. You know what I mean? Like, not that I don't like the intro to Teenage Robot, but
Well, Pi, you know what this one's the Walking with Monsters starts with, right? Starts with an alien Earth.
be quiet. It started when an alien watch did what it did.
It literally
All right.
starts with that.
Who's better, Accelerate or XJ9?
Accelerate.
Whoa!
Because
Accelerate.
accelerate's a pun. It's a play on words, that's why.
Oh yeah, how about that? How about that fun tease of the other XJs in this movie?
All right,
How
they're
about
in the background for 2 seconds.
that's just mean. That's like if in an episode of the Powerpuff Girls they had like Bunny just like in the background, like frozen or
Yeah,
something.
Frozen and Carbonite just sitting there. It's like,
Yeah.
you could unfreeze Bunny. They're like, no.
Yeah, like,
Moving
come
on.
on. Fans loved those characters, and I think they only appear in 2 episodes. What a disappointment.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we announced the winner of the poll, but it's like it was unanimous, no big deal. But is there anything that you would have nominated?
Well, you see, there's this little cartoon called Avatar.
Of course.
No, come on. Let's see, what is this, 2006?
It would have
So that'd
been
be
June 2005 to May 2006.
Yeah. Siege of the North, part 1 and 2. Boom. I did it.
Okay.
We got there.
And
I mean, what you know? It's a great 2-parter. Really feels epic. Like it feels like there is a nation under siege. The fact that Princess Yue sacrifices herself, the artistic stylings of the red and the black and white, like all the stuff they do, or the blue. Aang going into the Avatar state and just like wrecking face. Zuko's storyline and how they save him, like there's a lot going on in the Siege of the North, and it feels like a great culmination of the first season of the show. It's not, I don't think it's as big or crazy as the second season finale. I think the second season finale is honestly the best of all of them, including the big finale. But like, yeah, Siege of the North, just, I know. Someone mentioned The Ultimate Enemy from Danny Phantom, and actually, I guess I'll wait. I won't say anything. What's your pick, Shadow?
that's my pick. So there you go.
Yeah!
Ultimate Enemy is my pick. Danny Phantom. Yeah. For reasons people will find out in a month. Ultimate Enemy is a fantastic Danny Phantom special. It's great. It's a very, very important moment for the show in a lot of ways. You get to see some really cool things. There's the whole fact that you get to see a dystopian future where Danny becomes evil. There's the whole dynamic of them.
What did I tell you? Everyone's a dictator in the future,
Yeah, it's true.
including Danny.
Yeah, there's the whole dynamic of Danny fighting himself, essentially. You get some really cool backstory, and you get a really cool character moment with both Jazz and Vlad. It's also, it introduces Jazz knowing of Danny's powers going forward. There's a lot of great comedic beats.
Cool time travel stuff, too.
Absolutely. And Danny gets the new ghostly whale ability, which is awesome. You know, there's a lot of really, really cool ideas. And I love the fact that all of them die because a fast food restaurant explodes.
Yes. And there's just like weird stuff in there too about like, you know, thinking about the future and caring about what you have going. Like there's actual, I feel like there's a little more substance to that
Yeah,
than there
and
is.
it's very akin to something that a lot of that show's kind of demographic would soon be thinking about, you know, after that show, after like a year or two after the show came out, because yeah.
If you want to hear Monsters, myself, and Kuro talk about that, it's on an episode of the Recast.
And speaking of recast, I hear there's something special coming soon.
We already announced that.
I know, but we can tease it and hype it up again.
All right. Well, I'm working on editing it.
There you
Should
go.
I announce? Nah, I'm not gonna.
No,
announce
don't announce the topic, but
what show what it is.
yeah.
No, we compare the Recast to the award show Audit.
Yeah, it's true.
No, it's pretty good. I can tell you that it features like 10 minutes of Monsters and I talking about a movie that neither of us have seen.
And then they go inside the body and shrink down.
Shut up! No. Oh man. Oh yeah, the Mr. Lancer just gone joke from Ultimate Enemy.
Yeah.
Gone but not forgotten.
Yeah.
All of Danny's friends, and then Mr. Lancer.
They're gone. That's a great
dear.
special. Great special.
Yep. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this extra long award show audit and this special treat. Let us know in the Discord if you want to see more stuff like this. We're getting there on the hour category, aren't we? We're only a few more.
We're about halfway through, give or take.
I booked a guest for an upcoming episode. I think you all are gonna really appreciate.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. So, what won the award show? Oh, I mean, did I need to say it? This is Teenage Robot. Didn't I say it?
You did, yeah.
Yeah, 92% Teenage Robot. All right, everyone. Well, we will. Oh, wait. What's next week?
Oh, that's right. We do need to talk about next week. Okay.
Real briefly.
So next week we have the 2005 nominees for the half-hour category. Let me get those queued up. Okay. First up, we have Family Guy with the episode. How do you pronounce that? Please tell me how you pronounce that.
No, Shadow, you say it.
North by North Quahog.
He doesn't know that the name of where they live is Quahog.
Quahog. That's
yeah.
dumb. Okay. Family Guy, North by North. I'm going to keep calling it Quahog because I can. Quahog.
God.
Seth MacFarlane's wrong, okay?
Hey, Shadow, remember the time?
No.
Remember that time
No.
you pronounced it wrong?
No, I don't. I was always right.
We live in Quahog.
Oh my gosh. South Park with the episode Best Friends Forever.
We didn't forget to announce what the Emmys picked. We said that it picked Walking with Monsters.
Yeah, we said both.
Are you guys paying attention?
Are you listening?
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyway, Family Guy, South Park. Samurai Jack for the first time.
What's the South Park episode name?
Best Friends Forever. Pi, are you listening?
Oh. No, I was trying to respond to the chat.
Okay, you're fine. Okay, for the
Wait,
first...
did you say that Tom Kenny was the professor in the Powerpuff?
Okay. Samurai Jack for the first time. The 4 Seasons of Death. Oh, I put the wrong episode on here. I gotta flip that. That's the wrong screen cap. The 4 Seasons of Death. The Simpsons with Future Drama.
Oh, God.
And then, last but not least, SpongeBob SquarePants, Fear of a Krabby Patty, and Shell of a Man.
I got no complaints there.
Yeah, those are the 5 nominees. I will get a different screen cap for Samurai Jack for next week.
All right.
And yeah, we'll see you guys then.
Did you know there's a Teenage Robot episode called Samurai Vac?
Did you know there's an episode of Duck Dodgers called Samurai Quack?
Did you know there's an episode of Rick and Morty called Rick Mirai Jag?
I don't know any more episodes based on Samurai Jack.
Oh,
Chat, help me out here. Are there any other
Rick.
episodes out there?
No, that's it.
Got to get back to the past, Marty.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Okay.
we will see you guys next week.
Alrighty. See you guys then.
Bye. Tiger rules out.
There it is.